Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Jennie Dildine, the LDS Mission Coach, and you are listening to the LDS Mission Podcast, episode number 161, Does Practice Always Make Perfect? I'm Jennie, the LDS Mission Coach, and whether you are preparing to serve a mission, currently serving, a returned missionary, or a missionary mama like me, I created this podcast just for you. Are you searching for epic confidence, ready to love yourself and to learn the how of doing hard things? Then let's go. I will help you step powerfully into your potential and never question your purpose again. It's time to embrace yourself, embrace your mission, embrace your life, and embrace what's next. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here. Excited to hang out with you for the next little bit and talk about practice. I don't know. When I hear the word practice, the first thing I immediately think of is how I had to practice the piano. And my mom, if she's listening to this, she's like, she's probably saying, I actually didn't make you practice the piano that much. Especially compared to how much she practiced the piano. I know that she has stories of them like going to spend the summer at her great grandma's house, and then they'd each take turns practicing like an hour in the morning, like at 6 or something crazy. I would have to get her on here to tell the whole story. But anyway, so today we're going to talk about practice and whether it makes perfect. And there's actually a few different like things that have been kind of popping up with different clients and things like that kind of got me thinking about this topic and how, we always just say practice makes perfect. And so today I just want to like dive into that a little bit and see if that's even true, figure out maybe instead what practice does do if it's not making us perfect at something. Anyway, so just kind of gonna dive into all of that. What do you need to know? Maybe you want to know that we are running a session of Mission Prep Plus starting in August. I believe it's August 5th. Been getting a few emails recently like, I need to know the exact days and times. Just always plan on Mission Prep Plus starting the first Monday of each month, unless there's a holiday. And then we start the second Monday. Also, last year we didn't do December or January. It was just kind of a hard time to do it. And my team, wants to take those couple months off. I love to take those couple months off. So if you're planning on going on a mission like February or March, definitely you'll want to get into our August or September session, October, something like that. So just keep that in mind if that is something that you want to do. I am going next week out of town with my family for 3 weeks. It's kind of crazy. We've been planning this trip to Europe for a long time, and we just decided, well, if we're going over, we're going to go over for a while, and we're going to see some really cool countries. If you're listening, send me an email. I would love to connect with some of the missionaries there. Maybe we'll just bump into them. That would be really fun. Or if you are listening and someone you love is serving in Germany, well, we'll be in Paris, we'll be in London, we'll be in Austria. Anyway, I know those are big countries. Anyway, Switzerland, I know those are big countries, but send me an email if you have a missionary there, or if you're a missionary, and tell me where you're serving, and we might be able to connect depending on what city you're serving in. So that would be super fun. Yeah, I just can't believe summer is going fast, my friends. I don't know if that's how it feels for you, but that's definitely how it has felt for me. So, anyway, thinking about you guys. Do you know that I think about you every day? I think I say that on the outro of this podcast, but it's actually true. Like, I don't know, like I'm always like sending love out to the missionaries, like thinking about you guys, like how can we get more help, more tools, more strategies? How can we get you more support on your mission? That's one of the reasons I love Mission Prep Plus so much is we have that ongoing email support after you're completed with Mission Prep Plus. And so it's fun to be in there and answer your questions and connect about different struggles that you're having. Because I know when my kids left on their missions, I just felt like, I get to talk to them once a week. But as far as that, mostly wanted to be their mom. I didn't want to have to, I did. It's not like I didn't want to, but sometimes it's nice to just be their mom and not have to be their person that they ask like these hard mindset and emotional questions to. So anyway, something super fun that I love about Mission Prep Plus. So let's dive into practice making perfect. So I think the first thing that we have to figure out, right, is what does perfect even mean? And online at LDS.org, if you go to the guide to the scriptures and then you look up perfect, there's a couple words that describe it, like complete, whole, fully developed. And so is it possible for us, if we practice something enough, for us to become complete, whole, and fully developed, maybe within that thing? It's just an interesting kind of question to consider. And one of the reasons it's come up in my mind lately is because of a couple of things. So sometimes we'll see a sort of mission, mock mission experience, or a mission experience that a ward tries to do where they give everyone a mission call and they want them to go out and either teach lessons in a ward, or I know in our ward they've just done where you knock on doors just in the church building and things like that in hopes to get missionaries prepared for their missions. And then also there was an experience lately when I was talking to a client that new in their mission, they want to do these kind of rote during their study time, a rote question and answers to practice certain questions to ask and to practice certain answers to give to certain questions. Maybe even you've gone on splits with the missionaries in order to get ready for your mission. And I want to say first off that there's absolutely nothing wrong at all with practicing and preparing in this way for your mission or for anything else. I remember something that's kind of coming to me now is, I think I've said on here that I did musicals in high school. And if there was a musical I was trying out for, I definitely did all of my research and looked up the music and kind of knew ahead of time what the script was. And I would practice some of the music that I knew that we were going to be auditioning for. And I think that that is really good stuff to do. What I want to kind of focus on though, is that most of the time practicing is focused on our actions. Okay. Most of the time, and that's kind of what this pretend mission experience is about, right? And this is what this question and answer and their study time was about, and what splits is maybe about, is practicing the action of doing something. And this is how we tend to focus mostly with practice, right? When we say practice makes perfect, what I tend to think of, again, is piano practicing, basketball practicing, practicing for a play, practicing, memorizing scriptures, whatever it is. We tend to think of practice in the form of action of something that we're doing. And this can be really, really valuable and important. So, because there's this thing called muscle memory. And I think that this does happen in our bodies, is once we've done something for a while and we've practiced it, the action of doing it becomes more habitual. It becomes easier to do. It becomes kind of second nature. It's almost as if our brain delegates it to the lower brain. Think about this. How much do you have to think about brushing your teeth? Not very much. You just are your brain automatically knows what to do. There's that muscle memory there. And you don't even have to be oh, which side of the toothbrush do I put in my mouth, right? So this practicing of the actions can be super valuable and important. But what I think we sometimes miss out with practice and getting to maybe perfect, I don't know, we're going to explore it a little bit further. But what we sometimes miss out is emotional memory, right? And also thinking like practice thinking certain things. So I love this idea of giving ourselves an opportunity to not just practice doing something, but practice thinking something and practice feeling something. And this is some of the work that we actually do in Mission Prep Plus, because how do you know how to prepare for something that you've never done before is we actually go ahead of time and we're like, well, what would be the most annoying thing that would happen with a companion, let's say? And someone will be like, oh, it would really bug me if they didn't get out of bed on time. And so we decide ahead of time what we want to think about that and then what we want to feel about that. And also maybe we talk about what we would do about that. But the power comes, right? Because your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings are like fuel in a car. Your feelings drive your set of actions. So it's just as important, maybe even more. I don't know. I'm just saying that, and I could be wrong, but maybe even more important to practice what you're going to think and practice what you're going to feel. Let's say you want to start a new habit of a new action of going to the gym every morning. So sometimes we're going to do it. Sometimes we're not going to do it. And it's good to practice getting up, going to the gym. But what's even could be more powerful is if the night before you're like, okay, I know as soon as I wake up in the morning, my brain's going to go, we don't want to do that. I just want to sleep longer. And then you tell yourself, okay, what do I want to think instead when my brain goes there? And I know I'm going to feel dread. Because my brain and my body are going to be like, no, we just want to sleep longer. That sounds terrible. So also practicing feeling that emotion, preparing yourself ahead of time. I'm going to probably feel some dread. And then just know in that moment, you're like, oh, yep, I knew it. Here's the dread. And then you feel that, and then you can do the thing. So I love this idea of not just being for the action or for the thing that you're doing, but practice thoughts. Let's say you're going to go teach a lesson. It's your first lesson on the mission. Practice, what am I going to think? One of my most favorite thoughts is like, this isn't about me. I'm just here to help, right? So maybe you just think that. And then you practice like, maybe I'm going to be feeling nervous. And you just kind of let your brain look at all of that and what it might feel like. And also, you can practice like these rote question and answers if you want to. I think it's good, this muscle memory. But let's also create thoughts that we can practice and also really look at what emotions we might feel. And not all of them are going to feel super good. I was reminded of this book. It's called The 4 C's Formula by Dan Sullivan. And I really like this concept of when we're trying to do something and when we're practicing at something to become, let's say, accomplished at it or competent at it, we kind of go through this learning phase, and it's the 4 C's. And he says that you first have to have commitment, then courage, then capability, then you get to capability. And once you're capable, then you can get to confidence. Okay. So let's say you're new to the mission and you're learning a language. First, you have to have commitment. Commitment is a feeling that comes from a thought that sounds like, I'm doing this no matter what. Like for sure, I'm going to learn Spanish before I'm done with the mission. Okay. Then once we feel that commitment, we also then, there's a little fear that usually pops up, a little doubt, a little insecurity. So then we invite in courage, which is also a feeling. And interestingly, courage doesn't always feel super good because courage, you don't need it unless there's some fear or doubt or insecurity there too. Okay, so if we're willing to feel committed, then we can tap into the courage. And then when we stick with that courage long enough and keep going and keep going and keep going, then at some point you'll start to feel more capable with the Spanish language and also all of the things that come on the mission. And then at some point, you're going to actually feel confident in what you're doing. But we have to go through this process. And the only way to get through this process, right, is to practice, is to do it, is to practice the thoughts, to practice the feelings, to practice the actions, and to do that over and over and over until we get all the way through this commitment, courage, capability, and confidence. So let's talk about, does practice make perfect? Here's what I want to say about this is, and I know I say this all the time on this podcast, but you're still going to be human. You still, for some reason, I think missionaries get out on the mission and they think that the human experience doesn't apply to them. It does. It still does. You're still a human missionary, and I'm still a human person. And so even the things that I've practiced, even the things that I've been willing to be committed and feel courage, and then I get to capability and confidence, some days I don't feel confident at all. Some days I mess it all up, and you will too. And it's totally fine because you're human. It'll sound like this, and I'll hear this with clients sometimes, especially if I work with them kind of longer than just the normal 10 weeks, is they'll be like, oh, I was so good at managing my thoughts and I was feeling so good in my lessons. And then all of a sudden I went back to my normal nervous self, and what's going on? Something must be wrong. Or I was so good at feeling. I was actually just talking to my daughter about this week. She was like, I hadn't had sort of a breakdown or anything in a really long time. I was feeling really content and confident. And now all of a sudden I have all these doubts and all these thoughts again. And when this happens, we get frustrated and we're just like, no, remember, practice makes perfect. We think, I thought I was done with that. I thought I practiced that enough, right? Or another example I have is in callings in the church. Is, let's say I've been teaching Relief Society for a while and I've gone through commitment and then a little bit of courage and then I'm feeling capable and now I'm feeling confident when I teach a lesson. Interestingly, even though I've done the primary music leader twice, I'm sure if they asked me to go in there, I would feel nervous again because I'm not super practiced at the thoughts that I need to be thinking, the feelings I want to have, and the actions that I would want to take. And so we don't need to be frustrated about this, though. We don't need to be like, what happened? Something's wrong with me. I thought I was done with that. We are human and we're going to have to go through different things. And remember, you're changing all of the time and you're having new experiences and you're never going to be perfect in the way that I think we think of perfect. You're never going to be devoid of emotion, constantly happy, always confident. It's just, that's not the way life works. In fact, the only way to get to growth or a new stage of learning or transformation is to feel commitment, courage, capability, and then confidence. Why do we all think we have to be confident first? It doesn't work that way. We have to be willing to be committed, which means no matter what, and feels kind of uncomfortable actually. Actually, when I was sitting down to record this podcast, I just had to feel committed. And I could have gone to the place where I was like, what's wrong with me? I've recorded all of these episodes before. I'm so practiced at it now. And I didn't do that at all. I was like, oh yeah, of course, human. I'm tired maybe. I'm not really up for it, or I have a lot going on. And so I just had to tap into commitment, courage. And now, as I've been talking a minute, I'm feeling more capable and starting to tap into confidence a little bit. So it doesn't matter how many times you've done something. You're not going to perfectly be happy. You're not going to always have the perfect thoughts. You are human, okay? So I want us to think of, when we think, does practice always make perfect? I want us to think of it more like a practice. So you know how people talk about they have a yoga practice or they have a meditation practice, right? Or maybe you've decided that you want to practice talking to people, but not because that's going to make you perfect at it. Or maybe you're practicing a language or something like that. Not because you're going to be perfect at it. Because what does that mean anyway, right? Does that just mean we're going to be happy. We're always going to get it right. We're never going to say the wrong word on the mission or whatever. No, because you're human. And this is what happens with humans is we have these brains. And welcome to life. This is how it works. And then you kind of shift and then you learn something else. And then you kind of shift and then you learn something else. And then you practice doing something else. Here's the other thing I want to say about this is when I think of perfect, I think of the finish line. Like we're done with that. Like in this life, there's no finish line. At least when it comes to our growth and our development and our change and our identity growth and the way we're trying to become like our heavenly parents, you are going to continually be going through this process of practice. What if our whole life is a practice? I think that's true, you guys. There's no like, check, done with that, never have to do that again. The other thing that just came to my mind is like a dental practice, right? It's not like you can go to the dentist once and just be like, done, check, never have to do that again. Or brush your teeth once. I have a practice of brushing my teeth. And we're always in process. So even, I would guess that even learning a language and you're on the mission and then you feel like you're confident and competent at the end of your mission. And then you come home and then you're presented with a whole new group of things. And then we get to do this process again of practicing the thoughts, practicing the feelings, practicing the things that we want to do and be committed, move through courage, capability, and confidence. It's always a process. And so maybe what we want to say instead of practice makes perfect, maybe what we want to start saying is practice makes progress. And I'm not even sure that I love the word progress because I think we do make progress to some extent, but then we're just presented with a new set of challenges and a new set of things that we've got to think about and a new set of opportunities for us to grow and change and transform. And so maybe what we want to say is practice makes change. And that is true. The more you practice something, the more you practice thinking a thought, a useful thought, it will change you. The more you practice feeling anxious, scared, overwhelmed, sad, discouraged, doubt, shame, the more you practice feeling that will change you. Because then when those emotions come around, you'll just be like, here we are. Okay, I guess I'm going to feel some anxiety today. It will change you and it'll change the experience that you're having in your life. By the way, when you know what those feelings feel like, you can totally empathize and understand other people. So it's so useful and beneficial to practice feeling all of the emotions. So practice makes change, not just in your action line, but in your entire life, okay? It changes you from the inside out. Practice maybe, instead of making us perfect, practice makes a perfect opportunity for growth. I think that's true. We grow and we change, not to say like, oh, well, it would be better if I could know the minuet in G perfectly. But why not? Like, you're here to have experiences. Not that we're going to always say our German perfectly, but why not learn it? Even if it's just a practice of German, keep practicing. And I just want to think this is maybe the last one is practice is the process. So practice, what's kind of coming to mind is the conference talk, or maybe it's just a saying. You guys will probably know, but it's like when they talk about how life is not the destination, it's the journey. And maybe this is what is true about practice. Maybe there is no finish line. Maybe this life is practice, and we practice every day, and we practice being kind to ourselves, and we practice loving thoughts, and we practice the process of growth and courage and commitment and capability and confidence. And we just do that over and over and over again. Maybe we're always in it. I think we are. This whole life is a practice. And, in the end, I think Christ is the one who is perfect. And he's the one that sanctifies all of it for us because of what he did for us. So with him, we can be part of a perfect journey. We can be part of a perfect practice. Doesn't that sound kind of funny? A perfect practice. In your mind, you're probably thinking, oh, well, that means I practice every day for this amount, or that it turns out this certain way at a finish line. But practice insinuates that it's a process, and there's stuff you're always doing and changing and tweaking. And so practice makes progress. Practice makes change. Practice makes a perfect opportunity for growth. Practice is the process, and we're always in it. So I hope that this helps you. I hope it helps you maybe this week to kind of consider, are you practicing thoughts? Are you practicing feelings? And of course, practice those actions too. Those are important for that muscle memory, but those won't come in as useful unless you've practiced the thoughts and the feelings first. So everyone have the most amazing week, and we will talk to you next time. Serving a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints can present a unique set of challenges. And many of those challenges you might not even see coming. So you're going to want a unique set of solutions. It's easier than you think to overcome worry and anxiety, serve the successful mission you've always dreamed of, and navigate your post-mission experience with confidence. That is why I created some amazing free goodies that I'm sharing in my show notes. Maybe you'll want to grab the free training for preparing missionaries, my video course for RMs, or maybe you and I should hop on a free strategy call. If you're ready to take your preparedness to serve or your preparedness to come home to the next level, then go grab one of those freebies. And in the meantime, no matter which part of the mission experience you are involved in, just know that Jennie, the LDS Mission Coach, is thinking about you every single day.